What you're looking at right now is 100 years of American history sitting in one hand. Two nickels, same Buffalo, same 5 cents. But one of them was buried in the ground before your grandparents were even born. Welcome back to the channel. Today we dug up something special. A 1925 Buffalo nickel, pulled straight out of the dirt, sitting right next to a 2005 nickel with almost the exact same design. And the story of how these two coins ended up sharing the same image, 80 years apart, is something most people have never heard. In part one, we're breaking down the 1925 Buffalo nickel, what it is, why it matters, and what it's actually worth after a century underground. In part two, we're looking at the 2005 version, why the US Mint brought this design back after 60 years, and what these two coins look like side by side. So let's dig in. The Buffalo nickel, officially called the Indian head nickel, was minted from 1913 all the way to 1938. That's 25 years of the same basic design on American pocket change. The man behind it was James Earl Fraser, a sculptor who wanted to create something that felt truly American, not European, not classical, something that came from this land. He used real people as his models. The Native American on the front is believed to be a composite of 3 different chiefs, Iron Tail, Two Moons, and Big Tree, though historians still debate the exact details. The buffalo on the back was modeled after an actual bison named Black Diamond, who lived at the Central Park Zoo in New York City at the time. When this coin was designed, Fraser reportedly said he wanted it to be so American that if it was found anywhere in the world, people would know exactly where it came from. And he pulled it off. Now look at the coin we found. The date reads 1925. That means this nickel was struck 100 years ago. Think about that for a second. In 1925, the United States was in the middle of the Roaring '20s. Prohibition was in full swing. Jazz music was everywhere. The Model T Ford was still on the road. And someone, somewhere, had this nickel in their pocket. Maybe they used it to buy a newspaper. Maybe it fell out during a baseball game. Maybe it got lost in a yard that eventually got built over, forgotten, and then 100 years later, a metal detector screamed, and someone dug it up with their hands. That's the part that gets me every time. When you look at a Buffalo nickel this old and this worn, you're looking at what collectors call a circulated coin. This one sits somewhere in the good to very good range on the grading scale. The date is still readable, which is actually a big deal. Buffalo nickels are famous for wearing their dates off first. The way the date was positioned on the die, it sat on a high point of the coin, which meant it got hit hard by every surface the coin ever touched. A lot of 1925 Buffalo nickels out there have completely flat, unreadable dates. Those are worth almost nothing to a collector, but when you can still read it clearly, that changes things. The face on this coin is worn but present. The feathers in the headdress are mostly flat. The buffalo on the reverse still has its basic shape, though the fine details are gone. The horn, the tail, the legs are all soft from wear and time in the ground. Condition-wise, it grades around good 4 to very good 8 on the Sheldon scale. In that range, a 1925 Philadelphia Mint Buffalo nickel typically sells for between $1 and $5 in the current market. Not a fortune. But for something dug out of the ground after a century, that's a pretty satisfying find. Now, if this coin had a mint mark, that would matter a lot. The 1925 S San Francisco and 1925 D Denver issues are significantly scarcer than the Philadelphia version. A 1925 S in even poor condition can bring $10 to $20. In better grades, it goes much higher. Unfortunately, the mint mark area on this coin is too worn and corroded to read clearly in the photos. That's something worth checking under magnification in good light. But that's only half the story, because sitting right next to this century-old coin is a 2005 nickel with almost the exact same buffalo on the back. And there's a reason for that, a fascinating reason. We'll get into all of it in part 2, including what the 2005 Westward Journey series was actually about, why the Mint brought back Fraser's original design, and what these two coins look like side by side in terms of artistry, history, and value. Stay with us. Part 2 is coming right up. Part 1. We looked at a 1925 Buffalo nickel, A coin pulled from the ground after 100 years, still showing that iconic Native American profile and that powerful bison on the reverse. Now in part 2, we're turning to the coin sitting right next to it. A 2005 Jefferson nickel that brought back Fraser's buffalo design after more than 60 years away. These two coins are separated by 80 years, but they're connected by one of the most deliberate design decisions the U.S. Mint has ever made. Let's get into it. In 2004 and 2005, the U.S. Mint did something it almost never does. It temporarily replaced the standard Jefferson nickel design with 4 special reverse designs, all tied to the Lewis and Clark expedition and the idea of westward expansion. This was called the Westward Journey Nickel Series. The program was timed to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Lewis and Clark expedition, which launched in 1804 under President Thomas Jefferson's direction. The goal of that expedition was to explore the land acquired through the Louisiana Purchase, map a route to the Pacific, and make contact with native tribes along the way. So the Mint decided to honor that journey through coin design. And for the 2005 issue specifically, they went back to James Earl Fraser's original buffalo design from 1913. Not a copy, not an approximation. They went back to Fraser's actual work and essentially brought it into the modern era. Comparing the two designs, this is where it gets really interesting, especially when you hold both coins together like in our photos. The 1925 version is a product of its time. The buffalo on that coin was struck with older dyes, older technology, and has a slightly different character to it. There's something raw about it. The lines are bold, but not perfect. The high relief of the original design means that over time, details wore away fast, which is exactly why so many old buffalo nickels are in rough shape today. The 2005 version was produced with modern minting technology. The detail is sharper. The fields are cleaner. The coin is just more precise. But here's the thing, it almost works against it in a way. Modern coins have a kind of clinical quality. Everything is crisp and exact. The old coin has whereas character, has 100 years of story baked into its surface. Neither one is better. They're just different. One thing that changed significantly on the 2005 nickel was the obverse. That's the head side. Instead of the traditional forward-facing Jefferson portrait that ran from 1938 to 2003, the 2005 coins use a side-facing profile of Jefferson that was based on a specific historical portrait. This was actually a big departure. The Mint had been using a version of Felix Schlag's original 1938 Jefferson portrait for decades. Switching to a profile view felt fresh and tied the coin visually back to the older tradition of American coin design, where profile portraits were the standard. So what's the 2005 Buffalo nickel worth? In circulated condition, its face value, 5 cents. These were made in enormous quantities. The Philadelphia and Denver mints both struck hundreds of millions of them. They're not rare, but here's the flip side. Some people love them specifically because they brought back the Buffalo design. For type collectors, meaning collectors who want one example of each major design type, the 2005, P and 2005, the Buffalo reverse nickels are must-haves. In mint state condition, uncirculated examples in MS65 or better can sell for a few dollars to around $10 depending on the grade. The real value of this coin, honestly, is what it represents alongside its 1925 counterpart. Two nickels, same basic image. One made when that Buffalo design was brand new and America was roaring through the 20s. One made when the Mint looked back and said, this design is too good to leave in the past. That's what makes this pair so satisfying to find and to talk about. It's not just about dollar values. It's about what these little pieces of metal carry with them. An artist's vision from over a century ago, an explorer's journey across a continent, a bison that actually stood in a New York zoo and got famous without knowing it. If you found a Buffalo nickel metal detecting or inherited one from a family member, I hope this video gave you a real sense of what you're holding. And if you're just getting into coins or detecting, welcome. There's a lot more where this came from. Hit subscribe if you want to see more finds like this. Drop a comment below if you've ever dug up something old and unexpected. And we'll see you in the next one.